together. So when you talk about federal government, that federal government is made up of the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. There's a fourth estate of the realm called the media that is captured in section 22 of the Constitution. They have been recognized as another arm of government that holds the other three tiers accountable on behalf of the Nigerian masses. Then there are political parties, which is an agency that exports participants or their party members who become members of the executive. They talk about the president and the vice president and the ministers and special advisors and advisors. Then the highest number of exports goes to the legislature. As in the National Assembly, we are talking about the Senate, the House of Reps with 360 members, plus the A's, the state A's, and the bureaucracy. All of them. Then you go to the third arm, you talk about the judiciary. We have the CJN, Judge of the Court of Supreme Court, President of the Court of Appeal, and the State High Court, Customary Court, Sharia Court, and even the Alternative Dispute Resolution, and you have the Industrial Court, all of them. All these put together with the political parties are what you call the federal government. It's unfortunate again, when we came back to the 1999 Constitution in May 1999, late Dr. Chubo Kadibu, an erudite scholar, tried to bring in what I called absolute separation of power. No, as a consultant of Argon Association of Government of Nigeria Imo State Chapter, I came to address the Parliament in 1999. And my emphasis was the fact that from my own study, there is no absolute separation of power. Why do I say so? Because Constitution provided that in an event, the president and vice are indisposed, it is the Senate president that takes over on acting capacity for a period of 90 days. In events that the Senate president is not able, it is the CJN that takes over as the acting president for a period of 90 days. So if there is that symbiotic relationship, where is the absolute separation of power? So most times, what the theories have said relevant in today's global village.
So basically, what you're saying, there's no absolute separation of powers as it stands. Is that the reason why we see influences into the legislature? Do you think that this has trouble over the years?
First of all, a tendency of what we call in Nigeria the Nigeria. If you go to timekeeping, I was asked to be programmed by 8:20. I know I have set up my studio since 7:30 time. Maybe because of my background, my parents were in England back at 1939, where my father studied medicine. So we have that background that we keep to time. We have this tendency in the black world of talking about African time. I don't know whether Rolex or any other timepiece run as an African. I don't know whether any African country had manufactured any timepiece. So we have the tendency of mismanaging any available opportunity that we have. I call it greed, and extreme greed, and it's unhealthy and it's wealthy. If you come into, yes.
Yeah, Honorable, I understand that you were a former member of House of Representatives and you were also a former local government chairman. And as it stands, you're consultant for the Senate from the year 2000, I think, till date. So my
Yes.
question is, what does legislative independence mean in the context of Nigeria? And how has the role independence of Nigeria's legislature changed since independence in 1960?
Now, that was why I gave the background of the relationship between the three arms of government. And I've been privileged to work at the three tiers of government, starting from the local government to the state and to the federal. Now, in of this, that's why I said there is 320 sections in about 8 chapters that have said every person is supposed to do. When you come to section 4 Constitution, you are talking about the powers of the Legislature, National Assembly, State Assembly, and by extension, the local government councillors. When you go to section 5 of the Constitution, you are talking about powers of the executive, led by the president at the federal level, governors at the state level, chairman of local governments at the local government level. When you section 6 of the Constitution, you are talking about the powers given to the judiciary at the third arm of government. In that instance, you are talking about powers of the CJN and the justice of the Supreme Court, the president of the Court of Appeal and members of the Court of Appeal, judge of Federal High Court and the State High Court, the Federal Court now, and all of this, the Sharia Court and Customary Court of Appeal, federal level. Then you come to the state, you talk about powers of the governor, the State Assembly, the State House, the State Judiciary, and all. Then you go to local government, you have the chairman and the councillors. It is only the aspect of judiciary where the magistrates have been upgraded to be under the local government system so that they will have that same relationship. So, and I've said, and I repeat, in this 320 section of the Constitution, there is nothing that separates arm or tier independent of the other. And when you want to read the Constitution, you read the Constitution as a whole, as a section that you like. You don't cherry what we call picking. You don't just cherry pick what you want to obey, what you want to do, because what is in section 2 may have another interpretation or a further qualification in section 3. Now let me start by talking about federalism and federation. Section 2 of the Constitution talks about that. Section 2 of the Constitution talking about section 1, that Nigeria shall be one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state, the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Sub 2, Nigeria shall be a federation word, a single, a federation, and that federation is consisting of states and the Federal Capital Territory. Now, that is where many people who have talked about federalism is talking about relation between the federal and the state. But can they look at section of the Constitution, and I take section 3 sub 1 that says shall be 36 states in Nigeria. That is to say, Adamawa down to Zamfara State. Fortunately, many discussants and many people have not looked at section 3 sub 6, which says there shall be 768. There shall be 768 local government areas in Nigeria, not 774, not 74. Section 3 sub 6 is clear. There shall be 768 local government areas as shown in the second column of part 1 of the first schedule of the Constitution, and 6 area councils as shown in part 2 of this schedule. So by provisions of section 3 sub 1 and 6, the local governments are federated with the state in a unit called Nigeria. So if you now go to powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which I've mentioned earlier, the legislators are covered in Section 4. The Section 5 tells you about the executive powers. Section 6 about judicial powers. Okay. Now, before you now go to Section 6 about system of local government here. Now, if you look at them, you discover that, like I've said, the president is being sworn in. He was sworn in Chief Justice of Nigeria. It is the same president, based on advice of the CJ, of the National Judicial Council, who become, and he was in the CJN at the Hallowed in the, okay. It is this president that will be coming into effect of a National Assembly or assembly. He will inform the clerk of the National Assembly, who is a bureaucrat, on the day that a new parliament will come, like the 10th Assembly. It is this clerk of the National Assembly a brief of the Mr. President in inaugurating the Senate President, who now takes over as legislature. Because we are not good copy, that is why when we copied the system of government from the United States, we didn't copy code. I've said we decided to do cherry picking, taking the ones that we like. United States, the vice president is the president of the United States of America. Okay? There's no vice president elected or senate president elected. The young lady who Biden has just handed over this morning, the ticket of the Democrats, is the Senate President of the United States of America, but is the Vice President. That is why it is the House of Reps speakers always pronounced in the United States. So how come the free claim they were copying from the United States now created their own separate Senate President? You can see why we're having a challenge. If today Shetima is a Senate President, most of the fortunate things that are happening between the President and the national there, the synergy is always there. So the transition that the Constitution talked about, the same banking relationship that it talked, the non-absolute separate that I talked about, is when the Vice President sees as a Senate President, because it has an important information. During the preparation of budget, the laying of the budget for the Parliament, the President and the Vice President meted with the minister into the hallowed chambers as of the Parliament. As at that date, the Senate President becomes the boss speaker to the President and the Vice President. That is why after presentation, even before they bow to the President, to the Senate President, to the Speaker, and to the floor, making them, for that purpose of appropriation, they become part and parcel of the legislature.
All right, Honorable Ngozi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Honorable, I just wanted to find out from you what you think that the roles of the legislature is, because we've heard over time they provide checks and balance, with the executive. But I'm wondering, with what's said from the top, you mentioned that quite clearly the absolute separation, that they are all interwoven. Then, in the current context, for you, do you think that the legislature is independent to the extent of holding the executive and other arms of God accountable to the people?
Just by saying that we should be grateful to God that we have had 25 years of unbroken. The Parliament has been steady for 25 years. had it so good. In 1960, when independence came, even it was this system of government, it started in October. On October 1, that government was terminated by a military coup on January 15, 1966. That's about 6 years, or less than 6 years. We returned to a presidential system of government in 1979 under the Shagari government. And it's October 1, 1979 to November 31, 1983. Just 4 years, or less than 4 years. No, 4 years plus. Then, we had a diarchy between 1991 and 1993. That is the aborted Third Republic, which Babangida served as a civilian president. There was a National Assembly then. There was a state governors and everything, which later Obeneon, may his soul rest in peace, was one of the governors of that regime, with the former President late. They were all governors. But we have somebody like Igor Shoba, he was readily available. They served with military president. But that parliament only ended under 2 years. It's only since 1999 that we have given help of the presidential system of government for 25 years. And it's equally good that we have, I salute them.
Honorable.
First of all, my dad. Yes.
Honorable Ngozi.
Yes, you're hearing me. Yes.
In what way, I want to be particular now, in what way do financial dependency influence legislative independence?
First of all, let me take you to Section 80 of the Constitution, because we must situate who has what power. 80 of the Constitution started with powers and control over public revenue and of the functions of the legislature. That is why Mr. President has an appropriation bill and he comes to lay it before the Parliament, the Senate and House of Reps sitting in a joint sitting with the President of the Senate presiding and the Speaker of the House of Reps assisting him. Then all the 469 members of Parliament will be present. The ministers will accompany Mr. President into the chambers. They will be admitted for the ceremonial process of laying the budget, which is the first reading. Okay, the President participates in it and then bows and leaves to do other jobs and allow the Parliament now to do the work. Appropriation Act, the appropriation bill will undergo scrutiny as captured in Section 50. Section 53.
Okay.
Okay, no, in Section 59. In Section 59 of the Constitution, what is code of exercising federal legislative powers on money bills. That's 59. So it is a Parliament now that will sit and look at what proposed, because it's still a proposal, dot the I's and cross D's. These powers include addition, subtraction, increase, decrease, but it must be in line with what the President presented. Items that the President had listed in the bill. The Parliament has no right, I repeat, the Parliament has no right to introduce any item that did not emanate from Mr. President's appropriation bill. But they have a right, constitutionally given to them, to increase, reduce, via. If they have said the road from Bangladesh to Baji should get 100 million naira, and on their own they think that 100 naira will not work, it's 150, they have the power to move it to 150. And they have the power to reduce it to 80 if they think it's overbloated. But we had a bad day in 2002 when the issue of constituency project was introduced by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. That particular remains the nemesis, the albatross, and the danger that the parliament has ever faced in any part of the world. There is nowhere the legislature had been back executing work. After appropriation, the next job is over. So if you are part of the contracting agency, who are you going to oversight? Is it any wonder that Senator Etayena just last month complained that having served in the House of Reps and Senate on rudeness, that the parliament has never laid before the study what was the outcome of the oversight functions. It became an avenue for people to go, and there are words I wouldn't want to use because I belong to that constituency. But it's unfortunate that people be trust. Because before you become a legislator up at the Senate, you must be at least, before the last amendment to 35, you must be 40 years. And if you have not achieved anything to yourself at the age of 40, I don't know what else you want to achieve. So it's unfortunate that that constituency project that came in became a lobbying factor where they were given 100 million per year. They were asked to nominate contractors, whatever nomination means. I know that that is against the Code of Conduct Act. That's a criminal act. And I think when I was a little careful of participating in so many things because I knew the implication, and I wouldn't want anybody to charge me for any part of it. That's why I can do it out most times, because I know I have the record of what every transaction thing involving me, both as a member and as a consultant. Payments made to me, I have records of up to tomorrow. So the 100 million incidentally turned out that members became super rich. That money was supposed to enable them, because what we notice is that there is a crisis between the governors and legislators, especially assembly members who have gone to Abuja from their state. The state governors who wanted to make sure don't come back, because it is the executive that is executing. And the Trunk B and Trunk A projects, and in terms of roads, are in the state. The federal talks about Trunk A. And if you have a Trunk A road, you cannot lay, because it is most time a zonal intervention by the 3 senators. Okay. Or like in Imo State, there are 3 senators and 10 House of Rep members.
Yes.
So, but
okay.
If you have a Trunk B, yes.
Yes, so I know you've been talking about the legal reforms, that could enhance the independence of the legislature. So, for you wrapping up your thoughts, what can be taken to ensure the independence of Nigeria's legislature?
First of all, they are independent. Okay? They are independent. The only thing is that they have refused, failed to serve the public. They have betrayed trust, because as well withdrawn the fact that they appropriate and they have oversight, and they have coercive power in section 88 and 89 to summon, discipline anybody. It is a shame to all of us that that particular assignment entrusted to us by both God and man have been messed up. If we need is there. The president cannot spend one night without appropriation. But today, Senate President and Speaker, we have 3 budgets running, and the 4th one, supplementary 6.2 trillion in the making down there. Never happened before. I wrote to Mr. President on February.
So, sir, would you say that the legislatures, the Senate arm, House of Rep, they are sabotaged, or they are the lapdog for executive arm?
No, they are not. The only thing they have made themselves unpopular. Okay? They have themselves unpopular by the fact that they should be satisfied with the perks given to them. How many people earn almost a million plus salary that a senator takes home? Now, he is given 30 million quarterly. The House of Reps 27 million when I was there for overhead costs. That's the rate. That money is not a personal money. When Senator Shehu started talking about that he didn't know what to do about it, I expected him to have returned the money because there's a process of retirement. If you didn't know you were given an overhead cost to run our office, that's between Senator Shehu Sane as a senator and of that particular senatorial zone in the National Assembly. It is the run office that gets overhead cost. If your constituents comes from Kaduna to visit you, you are expected to transport them back. If there is wedding in your constituency, you are supposed to attend and you are supposed to give some handout. If there's people look some undergraduates, you are supposed to, some graduates, you are supposed to give them some distance here and there. Nobody expected you to go from that your 1 million salary to do that. But from the money allocated to you, you are also that the SA, the senior aid, who's on level 10 to 12 when we are there, is in charge of that. He retires that fund. And I insist that the Auditor General Federation demand for account of that money from everybody who was elected aid from 1990. They must account for quarterly overhead costs. The same thing in the House of Reps. Okay, right? The same thing with committee funds. The running has fund that is appropriated and is allocated to the clerk of each committee. And I see that the clerk of National Assembly should summon a report of the of overhead costs of running committees of the National Assembly. Don't done it, the General should recover the money from them if they're all criminal acts. They shot it to the NFIU, the Code of Conduct, the EFC, the ITPC, and the Special Fraud of the Nigerian Police and Public Complaints Commission, which is the police of National Assembly.
All right.
That's a serious crime, and they should not be allowed to go away with it. And I will need to explain these draft agencies what they have done.
Honorable Ngozi, I want to say for your input on today's show. We love that you x-rayed the legislature and the fact that we haven't really gotten it right to checks and balances and independence of the legislature as it concerns other governments. We truly appreciate you, Honorable Ngozi Ihuoma, all the way from Abuja, Executive Secretary of Watch. Many thanks for your time. We're back shortly after this. Do stay with us.